program actually already exists.
Okay, so you're actually a conservative who's for increasing the government size, not for decreasing.
Well, no, I want a small but strong government. So I want things that are smart. For example, I'd love to have more Border Patrol agents and less IRS agents. So where it makes sense to increase the volume of government agents, as long as it is pursuing a couple things that are core to my philosophy. A strong country that has borders, sovereignty, culture, and maintains a moral commitment to its citizens, that you should be able to work hard, play by the rules, be able to have a family, own a home, and see rising income and wages. Those are very basic things in a social contract.
Why is the increasing IRS agents, which are taxes that belong to us, they help pay for things like roads, GPS, infrastructure, basic things that you and yourself needed to get here. Why would that be so bad, having everyone pay their fair share of taxes so we can have a government that functions correctly? Well, obviously, government does work for everything, but we all benefit from government services every day.
I'm sorry, no one in this room is going to benefit from 87,000 new IRS agents. Instead, those 87,000 new IRS agents are going to be deployed against small business owners.
Hey my love, so you're welcome back to my channel. It's your girl BB Harry First, and I'm back again for another reaction video. So I bring to you charliekirk, and the title of this one is Best of Charliekirk. I repeat, Best of Charliekirk, and this is very intriguing, it's very interesting, right? So I can't wait for us to watch this. If you haven't subscribed, do to hit the subscribe button, and without further ado, let's get right into this video.
If the Constitution was written to benefit only white people, why is it that Asian Americans are the richest people by race in America right now?
Because the Constitution wasn't written to make people rich.
Was the Constitution written in Korean?
The Constitution was written to make people slaves.
Yeah, yet Korean Americans and Vietnamese are actually benefiting the greatest from this American experiment.
Actually, in California, as a direct result of Asian success, there were laws passed that stopped Asian Americans, or Asians period, Asian immigrants, from being able to become citizens or own land.
Chinese Exclusion Act, you don't recall
of Asian success. So no, like structurally there have been so many roadblocks.
So you're proving my point precisely?
No, I'm not.
Trying to make a point?
So your point is that we were racist against Asian Americans, and now they're the richest in America, so they went through a vast time of inequities, and they rose above it, and they're much richer per income and wealth than white Americans.
No, that happens because Americans realized that they f***ed up, and they lost all of the labor that was going to be possible for people to work on farms in California in order to exploit the land that was in California. There was no way for them to have people to work there, and that's why they brought immigrants back. That's why.
So what social program was designed?
Literally built on our backs.
With that, again, swearing and saying things like that doesn't make your argument any more valid.
But okay, but it helps me take out a little bit of my anger.
That's fair.
Which is valid for me to do.
If it was rigged for a specific group of people, Asian Americans are the richest by race. The second are Indian Americans, people from India. And the third would be white Americans.
Yeah, I'm aware.
So how is why is that?
How do you feel about phrenology?
What are you saying about racial inequality then on the other side?
So why? No, but explain to me why that is. I can tell you why it is.
Maybe the top 1 or 5% are the richest. What about the global South? What about the poverty? What about the lowest?
What about okay, so let's talk about
the lowest 50%. What are
in America or globally?
No, in America and globally as well as globally. What's their racial background? What's the racial demographic of that? Mostly people of color, not white people.
But the Asian Americans are at the top of the socioeconomic ladder relatively.
A very small number.
No, in the aggregate. In the aggregate. If you look at the way the data is compiled and presented to us, they are the richest per capita group by race in America. Why? Because over the last 50 years, Asian Americans graduated from high school in record numbers. They did not commit crimes.
Because we're smarter than you. Sorry.
Oh, okay. That's an that's a racist argument you just made.
Okay.
I'm not going to get into eugenics, but you just said you're smarter. I don't think that. I don't think any race is smarter.
There are other races that haven't done what you're describing.
Because
haven't seen
okay, so let me. So the two groups that are poorest by race in America are Native American Indians and African Americans. We've done the most to try to help them over the last 50, 60 years. We have the Bureau of Native American Affairs in the federal government. We spent $22 trillion in the federal government trying to help Black America, and Black America is poorer today than before we tried to start to help them. $22 trillion.
Racism that just exists in the system.
Okay, so your argument, institutional racism. My argument is failed policies that Lyndon Baines Johnson, a bitter and committed racist, you and I will both agree, degree, and a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat who didn't want to sign the Civil Rights Act passed the Great Society, which clustered.
JFK was going to sign the Civil Rights Act?
Well, he wanted to before he was.
He was certainly not going to.
So you're right. The Democrats were opposed to it. You're right.
Oh no,
the Northeast Democrats.
LBJ was definitely for it because he was from South Texas.
So what did he call the Great Society bill?
Oh no, LBJ was a racist because he was an old white man.
Are all white people racist?
I would say that I think white people have an implicit bias. You can argue with me. I think white people have an implicit bias.
Do you understand how racist it is to think that all white people are racist?
We don't experience systematic racism. We don't experience racism when we find
Okay.
Power structures.
Okay, so let's talk about that. So then how did Asian Americans climb up the power structure?
That has nothing.
I just did.
No. Can anyone explain that to me? Because I can't.
I'll explain. Most Asian Americans here. Okay, you said Native Americans, Black Americans.
Are the two poorest by race? That's
what keeps them in common? Okay, they've been here for a while.
Okay, so you know what keeps them in common?
Yeah.
They also get the most government benefits per capita than any other group in America because the way government programs are.
That's a symptom, not a cause.
No. And you can go to almost a direct date. Black America is poorer today than before we started helping Black America. The welfare programs.
Helping even by desegregating. I don't think that's much help.
Okay, so how about this? The Black single motherhood rate in year 1964 was 22%. Now it's 74%. How on earth does that happen? It happens because we subsidized single motherhood through the 70s, 80s, and 90s by saying if you get married, you lose your government benefits.
Birth control for lower income people. That's why.
Then why is it only their community, the Black community, that saw a spike in the single motherhood rate?
Because they don't have the same access to it because they've been written out of those laws.
But weren't Asian Americans written out of the laws in the 1940s and 50s?
No, because they are not Black.
Oh, okay, so it's only Black people that experienced a tough 20th century.
No, I'm talking about Black people that were specifically written out of these laws.
Asian Americans were written out of laws in the 1940s. We put Asian Americans in internment camps.
I understand.
So what you did that? I'm sorry.
You did that?
Well, California Democrats did that in the 1940s under the direction of Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
Switched positions on those ideas. Did you take U.S. history?
Yeah, I did. That is one of the biggest lies ever taught in U.S. history, and we could talk about that.
Are you kidding?
So, Democrats have always been about control and always been about power. That is the continuity. Republicans have always been about freedom. The Republican Party was founded in 1860 as an anti-slavery... Freedom for all people. The Republican Party was founded as an anti-slavery party for rights of all Americans in 1860, founded in Ripon, Wisconsin, and it has not changed. It has always been about the equality and freedom of all people. The Democrat Party has always been about division.
What do you think about the war on drugs that the Republican Party
I actually would have more sympathy with you about decriminalizing marijuana and the war on drugs. So. Yeah, I know it's funny to believe in freedom, but
how come whenever we bring up something
on drugs, how is that about freedom?
I'm sorry,
but Reagan was one of the biggest proponents of the war on drugs. How is that freedom? How is that pro-freedom?
Again, it was a bipartisan agreement, but I would agree. I think that's a valid point.
I'm sorry, who are you?
How come every single thing?
I think it's a Well, I mean, I know it might amaze you to say that I actually said you made a valid point that Republicans have been hypocrites on the war on drugs over the last 30, 40 years.
But then can you also recognize that the war on drugs disproportionately hurt people of color, and that's one of the reasons why they haven't experienced the economic gains that you say everybody should have experienced?
So how big of a reason do you think that contributed to the rising single motherhood rate in urban communities?
I mean, if the dad's in jail, then
so why is it only their community that saw the spike in single motherhood rate?
Despite so many Black fathers were being sent to prison!
And it was only Black communities doing cocaine? It wasn't Hispanic communities or Asian American communities or white American communities doing crack cocaine?
Demographics for those communities.
The cocaine
epidemic. Just focus on Black single motherhood.
Are you triggered, by the way?
Oh yeah.
We've all seen you be triggered on YouTube as well, so don't act like yelling and being upset is something independent to people on the left.
Well, I get yelled at more than that.
Dude,
but anyway,
Congress sort of 100 to 1.
But let me ask you a question. The crack cocaine epidemic in the 1980s hit all communities. It hit the Black community the worst, but it hit all communities.
Yeah, so it hit all communities, but the Black community the worst. Okay, so how come Congress threw a 100 to 1 sentencing disparity?
No,
with,
again, you're gonna find sympathy with me in the drug law argument, but you're not gonna find sympathy is that we continually subsidize through these welfare programs and then broken public schools. We can get into that, which is a complete relationship with the Democrat Party and the cartel, which is public sector teacher unions. That does not allow good teachers to be paid more and bad teachers to be fired. Yes, the public sector teacher union is a cartel.
Okay. So you're saying teachers are paid too much?
I'm sorry?
You're saying teachers are paid too much?
No, teachers should be paid more and bad teachers should be fired. Under the current way the tenure laws are written and the agreement between the state government of Texas or the state government of Kansas and the public sector teacher unions, bad teachers cannot be fired. It's nearly impossible to fire them.
Why don't we talk about police unions?
Who built the
education
system in Texas?
Democrats.
Who has been in power for the last 50 years in Texas?
Well, Republicans, just so you know, understand your history, Texas became a red state around like '88. So it was mostly Democrats that built these. So it was Lyndon Baines Johnson that was a Democrat.
Daddy.
And Kay Bailey.
Daddy.
Well, wait, it's funny. So by the way, so what did he call the Great Society Act since you call him Daddy? He called it he called it the N-word bill. He was a bitter and committed racist.
I know he was a racist, but we still got these things through.
You mean the things that kept Black America permanently poor and kept an entire part of the American population without hope? That's something you're proud of?
I'm not an African-American person, so I can't speak on that behalf.
But you can look at data.
What other buzzwords?
I don't think you are either, so I don't know if you can speak
But I mean,
on that.
what data do you have to argue that?
Before we go back to
I want to say, by starting off, I was told by your wonderful assistant over here that I should tell you that I disagree with almost everything. Obviously, we have not had a 2-hour conversation. So, like, who knows? Maybe we had a few beers. We agree on something, but
I'll have water. You can have whatever you want.
All I've heard is stuff that I'm just like, what? First, I want to say that I guess as the first 2 hours of your speech was you complaining about kind of these leftists and kind of this, but I've never heard any policy positions. When I go to something like a Senator Sanders convention or someone on the left, they're talking about healthcare, inequality, inflation, growth, but you guys all seem to want to talk about is how the left does this or the left does that, but no policies of how to fix anything. So I guess that kind of goes with my first question is, what is the GOP's actual position when it comes to fixing inflation?
Well, a couple things. First of all, I'm not a senator, nor am I aspiring to be one. Number two, yes, I was mildly distracted by the windows being broken and the terrorists outside. I fully acknowledge that, okay? So I was a little policy shallow tonight and a little bit terrorist deep, okay? I will admit that. Third, I'll say this. I don't speak for the GOP, right? I have my own ideas, and I actually think the GOP does a terrible job. But let me give you some ideas that I think you might agree with, okay? I think that vital products should be made in America, not in China. And we should use tariffs and sanctions to get it done. Vitamin C, penicillin, critical infrastructure should be manufactured here. I think American college graduates should be given preference to go work for American companies above foreign workers. And that means reforming the H-1B system and actually giving you, the American college-educated kids, a preference because we have a moral obligation to our own citizens over the citizens of another country. I think we should fully close the United States southern border. I think we should not allow illegal...
I just want to interrupt you. Sorry. You were saying you're for a government program that puts American college students. So
reforming the immigration system, right? So that big companies like Facebook don't do quasi-indentured servitude to bring foreign workers in and be able to compete.
But that would be a government program that would do that.
Well, yeah, the government program actually already exists.
Okay, so you're actually a conservative who's for increasing the government size, not for decreasing.
Well, no, I want a small but strong government. So I want things that are smart. For example, I'd love to have more Border Patrol agents and less IRS agents. So where it makes sense to increase the volume of government agents as long as it is pursuing a couple things that are core to my philosophy. A strong country that has borders, sovereignty, culture, and maintains a moral commitment to its citizens, that you should be able to work hard, play by the rules, be able to have a family, own a home, and see rising income and wages. Those are very basic things in a social contract.
Why is the increasing IRS agents, which are taxes that belong to us, they help pay for things like roads, GPS, infrastructure, basic things that you and yourself needed to get here. Why would that be so bad, having everyone pay their fair share of taxes so we can have a government that functions correctly? Well, obviously, government does work for everything, but we all benefit from government services every day.
I'm sorry, no one in this room is going to benefit from 87,000 new IRS agents. Instead, those 87,000 new IRS agents are going to be deployed against small business owners. But I could keep on going with policy examples. I can keep on building it out. But let me just say this. I love markets, but I'm willing to critique markets when I think they're not serving people and they're not serving the nation. I think our overindulgence in free trade fanaticism has been a major mistake over the last 20 or 30 years. I don't worship corporations, but I do think that entrepreneurs and private property rights and people taking risks are a general good for society. And not only does history show this, but common sense logic and, material reality shows all this. I can give you more and more examples if you want of policy stuff. That's less actually interesting. The reason I don't go through policy stuff is, again, is that I'm not running for office, right? I don't represent the Republican Party. But if I can build out a worldview that you can agree with, then the policy answers will come naturally, right? So if you understand morals and values, then you could answer the next 1,000
I guess for me as a
policy
student,
questions.
I care a lot more about policy than what people say. Like what government does is a lot more important to me, and that's why I was confused why your speech was not about policy.
Because again, I'm not running for office.
I want to ask one more question before I go. I guess for us, there used to be a thing called the middle class, or the idea of a growing and strong middle class.
Yep.
And I feel like for the past 10 years, especially on the right, maybe on the left too, for the more neoliberal left, but the right, that idea is kind of shrunken. I don't think there's a lot of talk in the middle class. Do you view income inequality as a problem?
I totally disagree.
Income inequality, I want to say income inequality being the difference between
let me ask you though,
and the median.
I have a question. Why is it that the wealthiest counties in America all vote on the left?
Because that's where how money works and how capitalism works is how where all the wealth is, where all the people want to be.
But
so Silicon Valley is all the jobs and all that
Why
stuff.
do they vote liberal then if the left...
Well, in what ways they vote liberal? Not on taxes, not on things that I am for.
They vote for Joe Biden, they vote for
Socially,
Nancy
left,
Pelosi.
They're socially left, but they're not economically left. Believe me, if you go to the Bay Area, they're very economically right. Dianne Feinstein is not left, in my opinion. So it may be left socially, but I don't think they're left in my point of view.
Yeah, but so then let me ask you then, why is it that the muscular class in America has shifted right over the last 7 years?
Not according to the midterms. I mean, you guys tanked on the midterms. Most recently.
You keep on saying you guys. I don't represent the Republican Party.
My apologies.
But I just want to critique one of your misguided premises, which is that somehow the right is not representing middle class voters. It's the opposite. Actually, states that are traditionally blue-collar, muscular class, middle-class states are now solid red states. Look at Ohio. Ohio is a state that used to be far left, and now it's more in the right direction. So what is the right actually doing about it? To answer your question, a couple things. We're rejecting neoliberalism. Like, how about this? We shouldn't send $200 billion to Ukraine, and we should instead represent our own people and close our own border. That's number one. Number two is that we should be unafraid to use tariffs and sanctions to say that critical infrastructure and things that matter should be made here in America. Whether the delusion on the left, and I just want to challenge you on this, is that the left has a bunch of people that talk a good game, AOC and Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, but when it really matters, they're nothing more than neoliberal shills that are willing to invade other countries, invite them into our country, and then lie to their voters under the veneer of social liberalism. The populist movement in America that represents real people, muscular class teachers, police officers, and firefighters, it lives on the American right because we listen to our constituents and we're willing to fight for ideas like tariffs, sanctions, closed border, and no more money to Ukraine. The left is shilling for all those things. Okay. Thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate it. Getting to the next one. Thank you.
Can I just ask, is the difference between the mean and median income inequality, is that a problem?
50 people in line. Thank you.
Is that
income inequality is a big issue, which is exactly why I support the things that I said. Next question.
Thank you so much for coming out here and for facing disagreements first, I guess. I really appreciate it. All right, I had another question coming up here, but the bait is there and I have to take it.
Okay.
So I am also pro-choice, and I was wondering how, you said to the previous dude back there that the government, in cases where human life is at risk, should step in through any means necessary, be it through mandates, be it through bans, things like that, right?
Again, that was a hypothetical answer. Let me clarify it. I think the government has a moral obligation to protect innocent life when confronted with the question of someone intervening to end that life.
All right.
So if a police officer is standing idly by and he sees someone on the side of the street and someone is going by to about to kill them, the police officer, being an agent of the government, has a moral right to intervene.
Step in, yeah.
I'm sorry, I do have to take a little bit of a caveat here. So the behavior of the police officers in the Uvalde shooting was disgusting.
Oh, I totally agree.
Do you believe? Okay,
yeah,
sweet.
But guess what? I'm consistent. The cowardice that happened at Uvalde is the cowardice we allow to happen when there's 1 million abortions in our country every single year.
All right, okay.
Which is standing idly by when children unspeakably get massacred.
I don't know. I think there's a bit of a difference, and the analogy that I usually use, or the question that I usually ask pro-life people, is do you believe that the government should mandate organ donation, even in cases of things like donating your kidney? Or right now we have a policy where even after death, if you have religious things where you have to... Sorry, that's not me.
That's not you.
No. Where, your whole body has to be intact in order for burial rites and things like that to happen. We say that you shouldn't have to donate your organs, but the pro-life case seems to extend to the idea that even people who are living should have to give up their kidneys to people in hospitals, maybe, who need kidneys?
Well, I don't quite see it that way.
Okay.
But
what makes a uterus different?
Well, first of all, again, in 99.67% of the cases, the woman made a choice that could potentially...
And what about those 0.4%? What do you think should happen then?
Oh, I think the baby should be delivered, of course, because I'll give you an example. Let me just prove it to you. If I had 2 ultrasounds, and one of them was a baby conceived in rape, and one was a baby conceived in consensual sex.
Well, of course.
Which one is it?
They look the same. I do.
But you can't tell because they're both human beings.
Yeah.
And in Western morality, of which I'm defending tonight, doing something wrong after something evil is never the right thing.
So, do you think that government should mandate organ donations?
No, and I think it's a false equivalency. For more reasons than one, for a lot of different reasons. By the question of, do I think the government should come in and protect innocent life from being slaughtered? Of course I do. Yes. And that's the answer. So, I mean, when it comes to mandating organ donations, I don't even see how that's applicable to the question. Because in 99.6% of the cases,
the mother makes
6-7% of the cases, the mother made a choice to be able to get pregnant. Now, in the very small micron kind of case, then the case is that the human life and the human being needs to exist. So, needs to be able to exist.
All right, I'm going to argue that different forms of birth control have like different forms of like effectiveness, and someone could be like potentially on birth control using those control methods, and it fails. Is that just a risk that like someone?
Yeah. So I'm going to say something. This is how far our morality has gone. We need to teach kids to save themselves for marriage. And a lot of these problems wouldn't be having. And if you do decide to engage in consensual marriage sex before marriage, and you get pregnant, that's the cost of the game.
All right. Okay.
Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
If cocaine was right here and I took it, is it the person who dropped it there or my fault if I took it?
I think the question of fault is a wrong
my
one.
fault. It's my fault if I take it.
But then I
believe that people are responsible for their own decisions, not society.
Exactly, but black communities have been redlined for centuries. So families and like
wait, so
men,
black people are too stupid to know otherwise not take drugs? Is that your argument? No, that's your argument. No, your argument is that black people are too stupid, and like drugs come, they must use them.
Exactly, they've been redlined to communities, and then the drugs are being brought into the community.
I believe
they're being overexposed to it, and thus they're more likely to take it.
So to your
Same
point,
with white people, so many white people have birthday do cocaine too, right?
So your point, we don't have enough people in prison, okay? So
we don't have enough.
We under-incarcerate rapists, under-incarcerate sexual offenders. Average rapist gets 3.5 years in prison. 3.5 years. Rapists should get prison to life and castration. We under-imprison people. We probably over-imprison people for some drug possession crimes. You and I could find agreement on that.
Okay.
Not drug dealing.
And those crimes happen to fall along racial lines. So
no, they don't. No, they don't. So blacks commit more crimes than white people.
has statistics behind both. I'm Hispanic too.
Well, look, blacks commit more crimes than white people. I don't want to say it out loud. It's just the way.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching. I have a lot to say. I really have a lot to say, and I've said a lot of things concerning lack of parental role in the family. Parental role has a way of damaging the society in a negative way. I don't know how else I'm going to explain this. If you Google or you make research or you check out, experiment, you will discover that if the family is not well fixed, it has a way of damaging the society. That is why they say charity begins at home. So I really don't know. I'm trying to comprehend this. I don't know the kind of mentality we black have. And that is what is eating deep into the fabric of this world, especially the black people. They're always trying to act victimized. They're always trying to act the victim game. Lack of parental role in the family affects the society. I don't know why the government subsidizes single parenting in America, because now it's giving everybody the privilege to go divorce. Everybody feels like they can divorce and they can single-handedly raise their child or their children. But it has a way of impacting to the society in a negative way. If you check the society out there, you discover that there are a lot of vagabonds out there, causing nuisance in the society. And when you trace back, you discover that they have been brought up by single parent. Single parenting has done a lot of harm than good. I don't know how else I really don't know how else I'm gonna explain this. This is one of the reasons why I love listening to Charlie's video, because Charlie didn't go to college, but his videos are very, very enlightening. And whenever he spills out facts. Whenever he speaks facts. So I really don't know. Black people, we need to change our mindsets. We need to change the way we reason. We are still pondering on the thing that happened 150 years ago when our forefathers were being enslaved. Most of us weren't even born as of that time, but then we keep dwelling in the past. We keep dwelling based on what has happened 150 years ago, and we keep dwelling in that past. Tell me how you want to triumph. Tell me how you want to excel. Tell me how you want to move forward when all the time you're giving excuses of you being enslaved by the whites, the black being oppressed, white supremacy, black privilege, and the rest of it. I really don't know. My concern is parenting. We need to do well when it comes to parenting, being family oriented. We need to do very well. Lack of proper parenting affects the society in a negative way. When we talk about crime rates, it's increasing. It affects the society in terms of crime rate, in terms of fraud. If you go to the prison, even in poor academics, mental health problem, and and the rest of it, if you go to the prison, you will discover that there are a lot of black people in the prison. And when you trace back, they are being raised by single parenting. What am I trying to say? This is something we need to fix. That's why this adage says that charity begins at home. You want to do well in the society, you want to become a better person, it must begin in your home, your household. One reason why I loved Asian people is that Asian people were being, there was a time they were talking about Asian people, that Asian people were they were not treated equally. Then Asian also came to America to find greener pasture. They were once saying that Asian people were also victimized, but Asian did not allow that get to them. If you check statistics and check record, Asian people are one of the most successful people in America. They are doing exceedingly well. They are doing exploits. They are family oriented. They are very focused. They don't try to play the victim game. I'm black. We can do better. I am black, and all the time we keep pondering on the past, on what have happened years back. We're not the only person that was victimized or that was enslaved by the whites. I think we need to do better, honestly, because this is really eating deep into the fabric of this world, and there are a lot of baby mamas out there, a lot of single parenting, a lot is happening, and it's affecting the society in a negative way. We actually need to do better. I wasn't raised with a silver spoon, but I was raised by both parents. And that is why whenever I look back, I look at my parents, how they hustle, how they suffered, and how they try their best to make sure that all their children went to college and are all graduates. It has affected me in a positive light, that I want to become someone that my children will look up to and they'll be proud of. I want to be a proud mom. I want to give back to the society. Now let's take Tupac, for instance, as an example. Tupac has to go to the streets to survive. People tried their best to make something out of themselves. So black people should stop acting the victim game. They should stop making it look as if they are being victimized, and they should do better. The black people are not the only one that were being enslaved. This inferiority complex among the black, trying to act the victim game, and the rest, it will not help us. Honestly, it won't help us. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, over to hit the subscribe button, subscribe to our channel, give us a huge thumbs up. I love you guys so much, and thank you for all you do on my channel. You guys are amazing, and I'll see you in my next video.